The phone rang at 3:47 a.m. You know that sound, don't you? The way a phone rings differently in the dead of night. Like it carries the weight of bad news in every vibration. Like the darkness itself is trying to warn you not to answer. But you always answer. I reached for my phone, my hand trembling even before I saw his name on the screen. Marcus, my brother, calling at 3:47 in the morning. I already knew. Sarah. His voice was flat, cold, empty of everything except an edge of something I couldn't quite place. Not grief, something else. Mom died last night. The words hit me like a physical blow. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The phone slipped in my trembling hands, but I managed to hold on, barely. Marcus, when, how? Peacefully, in her sleep. He paused, and when he spoke again, I heard it clearly, that edge in his voice. It was satisfaction. I'm sitting in the lawyer's office right now, actually. Thought you'd want to know the good news. Good news? I got everything, Sarah. The house, the savings accounts, the life insurance policy, all of it, every last cent. His voice dropped lower, more intimate, like he was sharing a delicious secret. You get nothing. I heard him lean back in what must have been an expensive leather chair. I could picture him there, in his designer suit, his Italian shoes crossed at the ankle, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. Turns out Mom knew who really loved her after all, who was there for her, who took care of her. He laughed then, a sound like broken glass. Should have tried harder, sis. Should have visited more. Should have actually cared instead of just pretending to. My throat was closing. Tears were burning behind my eyes, but I couldn't make a sound. I'm thinking I'll sell the house immediately. Get top dollar for it. Real estate in that neighborhood has really gone up, you know. Should net me close to $400,000. Not bad for a dump we grew up hating, right? He waited, wanting me to react, to cry, to beg, to scream. I did none of those things. Anyway, I've got to run. Lots to do. Funeral arrangements, estate paperwork, all that fun stuff. I'll let you know when the service is. Try not to make a scene, okay? Some of my colleagues will be there. Click. He hung up. I sat there in my tiny studio apartment, phone still pressed against my ear, listening to the silence that followed. Around me, the pre-dawn darkness felt heavy, suffocating. Through my single window, I could see the Detroit skyline beginning to emerge from the night. Building by building, light by light, my mother was gone. The woman who had sacrificed everything, who had loved me unconditionally, who had been my whole world was gone, and my brother thought he'd won. Despite the grief crushing my chest like a physical weight, despite the tears now streaming down my face in rivers, despite the hole that had just been torn through the center of my life, I smiled. Not a happy smile, not even a bitter one, but a knowing smile, because Marcus had no idea what was coming. He had no idea what Mom had done in those final clear moments before the disease took her completely. He had no idea about the video, about the real Will, about the truth he was about to face. But more than that, he had no idea what he'd already lost. Let me tell you a story. The real story. The one Marcus never bothered to see because he was too busy looking at spreadsheets and stock portfolios and his own reflection in his penthouse windows. Let me tell you about love and sacrifice and what it really means to be there for someone. Let me tell you about our mother. I was 8 years old when I first understood that we were poor. Not the kind of understanding that comes from lectures or explanations, but the deep in your bones knowledge that settles in when you're standing in the free lunch line at school and you hear another kid whisper, "That's the welfare girl." It was a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesday was pizza day, and I loved pizza day. I was excited, happy even, until I heard those words and saw the way the other girls looked at me, like I was less than, like I was something to be pitied or, worse, avoided. I came home that day and found Mom in our tiny kitchen. She was still in her waitress uniform from the morning shift, coffee stains on her apron, her hair falling out of its bun. She was stirring something on the stove with one hand while ironing Marcus's school shirt with the other. The phone pressed between her shoulder and ear as she talked to her night shift supervisor. I stood in the doorway watching her, this woman who never stopped moving, never stopped working, never stopped trying. "Mom," I said quietly, "are we poor?" She looked up at me, and for just a second, I saw something break behind her eyes. Just a flicker, just a moment, before she smiled and set down the iron and opened her arms to me. "Come here, baby girl." I climbed into her lap, even though I was getting too big for it, and she held me tight. "You know what rich means, Sarah?" she asked, her voice soft against my hair. "It doesn't mean having money. It means having what matters. And we have each other. We have love. That makes us the richest people in the whole world." I wanted to believe her. I tried to believe her. But from across the room, I heard Marcus scoff. He was 12 then, sitting at our secondhand table doing homework, and he looked up with disgust written all over his face. "That's garbage, Mom," he said, his voice hard. "We're poor. Just admit it. We're poor, and everyone knows it, and it's humiliating. Marcus, I hate it here. her. I hate wearing other people's old clothes. I hate having nothing. I hate that you work all the time and we're still broke. He slammed his textbook shut. When I grow up, I'm going to have money. Real money. And I'm never coming back to this dump. Mom flinched like he'd hit her. I felt her arms tighten around me, felt the way her breath caught. This dump is our home, she said quietly. And everything I do for you and your sister. Yeah, well, maybe you should have gotten a better education, made better choices. Then we wouldn't be stuck here. He grabbed his backpack and walked out, slamming the door behind him. I felt Mom's tears drop onto my hair. She didn't make a sound, but I felt them, hot and heavy, and full of a pain I was too young to understand. Don't listen to him, Mom, I whispered. I think you're the best mom in the world. She held me tighter. Thank you, baby. Thank you. That night, after I'd gone to bed, I heard her on the phone, quiet, so she wouldn't wake us, but I'd always been a light sleeper. Yes, I can take the extra shifts. All of them, whatever you have available. She was picking up a fourth job because of what Marcus said, because she believed somehow that if she just worked harder, sacrificed more, gave more, maybe he would love her the way she deserved to be loved. 6 years later, Marcus left for college. He got a full scholarship to a prestigious business school in New York. Full ride, room, board, everything covered. It was his ticket out, and he grabbed it with both hands. The day he left, I was 14. I helped him pack, carefully folding his clothes, making sure he had everything he needed. You're going to do amazing things, I told him, meaning it. Despite everything, he was still my brother. I was still proud of him. He barely looked at me. Yeah, you'll come back for Thanksgiving though, right? Mom's already planning the menu. She's so excited. He zipped up his suitcase with more force than necessary. We'll see. Mom drove him to the airport. She came home 3 hours later, her eyes red from crying, but she was smiling. He's going to be so successful, she told me, showing me the picture she'd taken of him at departures. My boy is going to change the world. He didn't come home for Thanksgiving, or Christmas, or spring break. He's so busy, Mom would say, making excuses he never bothered to make himself. College is demanding. He's working so hard. The calls came once a month, maybe. Always brief, always with him multitasking. I could hear it in his voice. The click of his laptop keyboard, the rustle of papers, the distance. How are you, son? Mom would ask, her whole face lighting up just from hearing his voice. Fine, busy. Look, Mom, I gotta go. I'll call you later. Later never came. But the excuses did. From Mom. Always from Mom. He's doing internships. He's networking. He's building his future. I watched her make those excuses for years, watched her defend his absence to her friends, to our relatives, to herself, and I watched Marcus become exactly what he wanted to be: successful, wealthy, important. He graduated top of his class and landed a position at a major investment bank. Within 2 years, he was making 6 figures. Within 5, 7 figures. Within 10, his annual bonus alone was more than most people made in a lifetime. He bought a penthouse in Manhattan with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view that probably cost more per month than Mom's entire house was worth. He wore suits that cost thousands of dollars, drove cars I couldn't even pronounce the names of, dated women who looked like they'd stepped out of magazines. His Instagram was a carefully curated gallery of success, exotic locations, Michelin star restaurants, private jets, luxury watches, the kind of life that screamed, I made it, I'm important, I matter. And Mom followed every post, showed me every picture. Look at your brother, she'd say, her voice full of wonder and pride. Look at what he's accomplished. What broke my heart wasn't his success. It was the fact that in none of those pictures, in none of those carefully crafted posts about his amazing life, was there ever any mention of where he came from, of the woman who'd worked 4 jobs to give him a chance, of the tiny apartment where she'd stayed up late helping him with homework while her feet bled from standing all day, of the sacrifices she'd made so he could have that scholarship, that education, that future. He'd erased us, erased her, like we were something to be ashamed of. But every month, like clockwork, a check would arrive, $500, made out to Mom, with a little note, for expenses, hope you're well, $500, from a man making millions. And Mom would hold that check like it was a love letter. He's so thoughtful, she'd say. Even with how busy he is, he still takes care of me. I never had the heart to tell her what I saw, that those checks weren't love. They were guilt payments, hush money, a way to check a box that said good son, without actually having to be one. I took a different path. I went to Wayne State, right here in Detroit, lived at home, commuted, got my degree in social work. Sarah, honey, are you sure? Mom had asked when I told her. You could go somewhere else, somewhere better. I don't want you to feel like you have to stay. But I didn't feel like I had to. I wanted to. Because while Marcus was building his empire of glass and steel, I was watching watching Mom get older, watching her slow down, watching the toll that decades of hard work had taken on her body. And I couldn't imagine being anywhere else. Y'all became a social worker, working with kids in the same neighborhoods we'd grown up in. Kids who were hungry, scared, poor, kids who reminded me of us. My apartment was small, my paycheck smaller, but every Sunday, I'd pick up Mom and we'd have dinner together. Every birthday, I'd bake her a cake from scratch. Every holiday, she was at my table, and I was happy. Not rich, not successful by Marcus's standards, but happy, because I had what mattered. Until the day everything changed. 4 years ago, on a Tuesday morning in October, Mom called me at work. Sarah? Her voice was strange, confused. I can't remember where I parked my car. It's okay, Mom. Where are you? I'm at the grocery store, I think. But nothing looks right. Nothing looks familiar. It was the same grocery store she'd shopped at for 30 years. I left work immediately, found her standing in the parking lot, looking lost and frightened, tears streaming down her face. I don't know what's wrong with me, she whispered. I can't remember. I can't remember anything. 3 days later, sitting in a neurologist's office, we got the diagnosis. Early onset Alzheimer's disease. Your mother is 62, the doctor said gently. That's quite young for this diagnosis, and unfortunately, early onset cases tend to progress more rapidly. How rapidly? I asked, my voice barely audible. It varies, but I'd say you're looking at significant decline within 3 to 5 years, maybe less. The room tilted. I couldn't breathe. What does that mean? Significant decline? He looked at Mom, who was sitting quietly, her hands folded in her lap, already seeming smaller somehow. Memory loss will accelerate. She'll start to lose the ability to recognize faces, places, eventually even her own identity. There will be personality changes, confusion, agitation. Eventually, she'll need round-the-clock care. I called Marcus from the hospital parking lot. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely dial. He answered on the 5th ring. Sarah? Kind of in the middle of something. Mom has Alzheimer's. Silence. I could hear voices in the background, the clink of glasses. He was at a restaurant. How bad? Bad, Marcus. Early onset. The doctor says it'll progress fast. She needs family. She needs you to come home. More silence then. Jesus. That's really tough. Look, I'm closing a merger right now. Major deal. Worth about 40 million. I can't just walk away from that, but I'll send more money. Whatever she needs. You can hire the best nurses, the best. She doesn't need nurses, Marcus. She needs her son. She needs you. I'll come for Christmas, I promise. I'll be there for Christmas. He wasn't there for Christmas. And the disease didn't wait. Within 6 months, Mom started forgetting recent conversations, then recent days, then weeks. I'd visit and she'd ask me the same questions over and over. Did you eat lunch, honey? Yes, Mom. We just ate together. Oh, did we? I don't remember. 5 minutes later. Did you eat lunch, honey? Within a year, she started getting lost. She'd drive to the bank and forget how to get home. She'd go for a walk and end up 3 miles away, confused and crying, with no idea where she was. I started going over every day after work, making sure she'd eaten, making sure she'd taken her medications, making sure the stove was off. Then came the night I got the call from the police. Ma'am, we found a woman walking on the highway at 2 a.m. She says her name is Margaret and she's trying to get to work, but she's in her nightgown and she seems very confused. It was Mom. She'd woken up thinking it was 1985 and she had to get to her waitressing shift. Had walked out of her house in the middle of the night and just started walking. When I got to the police station, she looked at me with no recognition at all. Who are you? She asked. Where are my children? I need to get my children. My heart shattered. That was the night I made my decision. I quit my job, gave up my apartment, moved in with Mom full time. Sarah, you can't do this, my friend said. You're only 38. You have your whole life ahead of you. Your mother won't even know you're there. But they were wrong. Sometimes she knew. And those moments were everything. The next 3 years were the hardest of my life. I learned to help her dress when she forgot how buttons worked, to bathe her when she became afraid of water, to feed her when she forgot how to chew. I learned to lock the doors from the inside so she couldn't wander, to hide the car keys, to remove anything she might hurt herself with. I learned to sleep lightly, always listening, because she'd wake up confused and try to leave, convinced she had somewhere she needed to be. Some days were good. She'd wake up and know me. Those days, we'd sit on the porch together, holding hands, and she'd tell me stories I'd heard 100 times but would never tire of hearing. You were such a sweet baby, she'd say, smiling at me. Always smiling, always so full of love. I learned from you, Mom. Did I ever tell you about the time you tried to bake me a birthday cake? Yes, Mom. I was 5 and I nearly burned down the kitchen. She'd laugh, delighted. like it was the first time she'd remembered it in years. Maybe it was. Those were the good days, but the bad days were unbearable. On bad days, she didn't know me at all. Worse, she was afraid of me. "Who are you?" she'd scream, backing away from me. "What are you doing in my house? Get out! Get out! Mom, it's me. It's Sarah. I'm your daughter." "I don't have a daughter. You're lying. Help! Someone help me." I'd have to call her doctor, get her sedated, hold her while she fought me, scratched me, hit me, all the while screaming for her mother, for someone to save her from this stranger in her house. And every time, after the medication finally calmed her, after she finally fell asleep, I'd sit on the bathroom floor and cry until I had nothing left. Some nights I'd call Marcus, leave voicemails. "She doesn't know who I am anymore. Please come home. Please." He never called back. But every month that check arrived. $500, like clockwork. I stopped cashing them. Just put them in a drawer and let them pile up. 36 checks. 36 months of him buying his way out of being a son. Meanwhile, my savings evaporated. Medical bills, adult diapers, special locks, modifications to the bathroom, medications that cost more than my old rent, doctor visits, emergency room visits when she fell or had a panic attack so severe I thought she was having a heart attack. I sold my car, sold my furniture, sold everything I owned that had any value, and I stayed because she was my mother and she'd given me everything. Now it was my turn. 2 years into her diagnosis, something extraordinary happened. Mom started having these moments of crystalline clarity, like the fog would suddenly lift and she'd see everything with perfect, heartbreaking understanding. It was a Saturday evening. I was helping her get ready for bed, a process that now took over an hour and usually involved tears and resistance. But that night, as I was buttoning her nightgown, she suddenly grabbed my wrist. Her grip was strong, urgent. "Sarah," her voice was different, clear, present. "Mom, I see you. I see what you've done for me." Tears immediately flooded my eyes. "Mom, you don't have to." "Shh, listen to me, baby. I don't know how long I have before I lose this again." Her eyes were sharp, focused in a way they hadn't been in months. "You've sacrificed everything. Your job, your savings, your whole life. For me. I love you, Mom. That's what you do for people you love." Marcus doesn't come. It wasn't a question. It was a statement of fact. He sends money, but he doesn't come. Does he? I couldn't lie to her. Not when she was this present. "No, Mom, he doesn't come." A tear rolled down her cheek. I was so proud of his success. So proud. But I was blind. I thought if I just loved him enough, if I just supported him enough, he'd remember where he came from, who sacrificed for him. "Mom, but you remembered. You stayed. Even when it was hard. Even when I don't know who you are. You stay." She pulled me close, her hands on either side of my face. "You're the one who knows what love means. Real love. Not the kind you can put in an envelope and mail." We held each other and cried. The next day, during another clear spell, she called her lawyer. "I'm changing my will," she told him. "Everything goes to Sarah. The house, the savings, the life insurance, everything. Mom, you don't have to do this. Marcus should." She looked at me with those clear, knowing eyes. "Marcus chose money over family a long time ago. Now I'm choosing family over Marcus." But then she did something that showed me who she really was, even as her mind was failing. She asked me to record a video on my phone. I set it up on the dresser, pressed record, and stepped back. Mom looked directly into the camera. Her voice was steady, strong. "Marcus, if you're watching this, I'm gone, and there are things I need to say to you that I should have said a long time ago. I left everything to your sister, not because I didn't love you. God knows I loved you. I loved you so much it broke my heart every time you didn't call, every holiday you missed, every promise you broke. But Sarah was here when I was scared, when I was confused, when I didn't even know my own name. She was here. She gave up everything for me. Her career, her savings, her youth, her future. She stayed when it was hard. She loved me when there was nothing to gain from it. She held my hand when I couldn't remember who she was. That's what love is, son. Not money, not success, not checking a box by sending checks. Being present, being there in the mess and the pain and the heartbreak. That's love.
I hope someday you understand that. I hope someday you realize what you lost when you chose Wall Street over family, when you chose status over being someone's son. But whether you do or don't, know this: Sarah deserves everything I'm leaving her. She earned it in ways you'll never understand, in ways that can't be measured in dollars. I'm proud of your success, Marcus. I always was, but I'm prouder of your sister's heart. heart. And in the end, that's what mattered more. She paused, wiping her eyes. I love you, son. I always will. But love without action is just words, and words weren't enough. She looked at me, and I stopped the recording. Make sure he sees that, she said. Make sure he understands. 3 days later, the fog came back, and this time, it never fully lifted again. 6 months later, Mom stopped speaking. 3 months after that, she stopped eating. The final year, she was barely there at all. Just a shell, a ghost of the vibrant, loving, fierce woman who had raised me. But I stayed. I held her hand every day, played her favorite songs, read her favorite books, even though I didn't know if she could hear me. And Marcus? He finally visited. Once, 8 months before she died. He walked in wearing a suit that probably cost more than Mom's monthly Social Security. His shoes were so shiny I could see my reflection in them. He smelled like expensive cologne and self-importance. He looked at Mom, tiny, frail, barely conscious in her hospital bed, and I saw it, just for a second. Disgust. Jesus, Sarah, is there anything they can do to make her more comfortable? She's dying, Marcus. This is what dying looks like. He stayed for exactly 2 hours, took some photos for his Instagram with a caption about cherishing every moment with family. Then he had to go. Important meeting. Couldn't be rescheduled. I'm sorry I can't be here more, he said at the door. But it looks like you have everything under control. Under control. Like our mother's death was a project to be managed. He left. Mom died 3 weeks later. I was holding her hand, playing her favorite song. She took one breath, then another, then nothing. And she was gone. I sat there for an hour, just holding her hand, crying silent tears, saying goodbye to the woman who had been my whole world. Then I called Marcus. She's gone. I'll handle everything, he said immediately. All business. Funeral home, lawyer, all of it. Don't worry about a thing. And he did. He swooped in, took over, made all the decisions. Expensive funeral home, elaborate service, flowers everywhere. Everything that would look good, photograph well, make him seem like a devoted son. I was too numb with grief to fight him until this morning, 3:47 a.m., when he called to tell me he'd gotten everything. I'm still sitting here by my window. The sun is fully up now, painting Detroit in shades of gold and amber. My phone rings again. It's the lawyer. Miss Sarah, this is Howard Chen, your mother's attorney. I need to speak with you about her actual will. There's been a misunderstanding with your brother. I know, Mr. Chen. I know about the new will. Oh, well, good. That makes this easier. He clears his throat. Your mother left very specific instructions. Everything goes to you. And there's a video she wanted your brother to watch. Should I? Yes. Please send it to him. He needs to see it. Of course. And Miss Sarah, your mother spoke very highly of you in our meetings. She wanted me to tell you something if this situation arose. She said, and I quote, "Tell my Sarah that she made my last years beautiful. Tell her that love is measured in moments, not money. Tell her she gave me the greatest gift anyone ever gave me." She stayed. I break down completely, sobbing, unable to speak. Take your time, Mr. Chen says gently. There's no rush on any of this. An hour later, my phone rings again. Marcus. I almost don't answer, but then I do. You manipulated her. His voice is shaking with rage. When she was sick, when she didn't know what she was doing, you manipulated her into changing her will. No, Marcus. Mom changed her will during one of her clear spells. The lawyer will confirm that. She was completely lucid, knew exactly what she was doing. Bullshit. You poisoned her against me. I didn't have to. You did that yourself by not being there, by sending checks instead of yourself, by treating her like a box to check off on your to-do list. I sent money. I made sure she was taken care of. She didn't need your money, Marcus. She needed her son. She needed you to show up, to be there, to love her when it was hard and messy and inconvenient. I was building a career. You were building an excuse. And now you have to live with what you chose. Silence. Then quieter. Did you show her the video? Mr. Chen sent it to you. Watch it. Maybe you'll understand. I already did. His voice cracks. For the first time, I hear something other than anger. I hear pain. She said I chose money over family. You did. I thought if I was successful enough, if I made enough money, if I could show her I wasn't that poor kid anymore, she'd be proud of me. She was always proud of you, Marcus. From the very very beginning. You didn't have to prove anything. You just had to be her son. I hear him crying now, really crying. I can't get it back, can I? All those years, all those moments, I can't get them back. No, you can't. What do I do now, Sarah? How do I live with this? And despite everything, despite his cruelty on that 3:47 a.m. call, despite all the years of absence and abandonment, I feel sorry for him.
Because I got to say goodbye. I got those 3 years of being present, of holding her hand, of being there. And he got nothing. All the money in the world, and he got nothing that mattered. You live with it, I say gently, the same way we all live with our choices. And maybe you learn from it. Maybe you become the kind of person who shows up, who stays, who loves people even when it's hard. Is it too late? Too late for mom? Yes. Too late for you? I don't know, Marcus. That's up to you. I hang up and I sit here in the morning light thinking about mom, about her hands, rough from work but gentle when they held mine, about her voice singing while she cooked our simple meals, about her smile, the way it could light up a room even when we had nothing, about her love, unconditional and fierce and forever. I didn't inherit much, a small house, some savings, enough to rebuild my life, but I already had my inheritance. I inherited every Sunday dinner, every bedtime story, every I love you whispered in the dark. I inherited the feel of her hand in mine as she took her last breath. I inherited 3 years of moments that Marcus will never have, can never buy, can never get back. I inherited the knowledge that I showed up, that I stayed, that I loved her the way she deserved to be loved. And that is worth more than everything Marcus has, more than his penthouse and his cars and his 7-figure salary, more than anything money could ever buy. Mom was right all along. As long as we have love, we have everything that matters. And I had love. I still do. That's my inheritance. That's my mother's final gift. And it's priceless. Some people measure success in dollars and cents, in titles and possessions, in things you can photograph and post and brag about. But real success is measured in moments, in showing up, in being present for the people you love, even when it's hard, even when there's nothing to gain. My brother has everything money can buy, but I have something he'll never have. I have the knowledge that I was there, that when it mattered most, I stayed, and that's worth more than all his millions. That's the inheritance that truly matters. That's what love looks like, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.